Hi students, so today we will be dealing with metabolism of aromatic amino acids. Okay, so the first thing that you must know is what are the aromatic amino acids. Those are phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan, etc. Okay, so we will first deal with metabolism of phenylalanine. Okay, right, we will be jumping into the topic. Now, you all know phenylalanine is an essential amino acid. What's special about phenylalanine? It's both glucogenic and ketogenic. It's easily converted to tyrosine by addition of an OH or hydroxyl group, okay, and that is often referred to as the sparring action of tyrosine on phenylalanine. What it means is, if you have got enough phenylalanine in your diet, it will be automatically converted to tyrosine, or the other way around. If you have enough tyrosine in your diet, phenylalanine would automatically have been converted to tyrosine, so the dietary requirement of phenylalanine reduces. Okay, so the predominant metabolism of phenylalanine occurs through tyrosine. It goes through the tyrosine pathway, all right, and that pathway is very important. Why? Because tyrosine will be ultimately used in formation of these various important hormones and other compounds. Those are adrenaline, noradrenaline, neurotransmitters like dopamine, as well as and thyroid hormones, catecholamines, and pigment like melanin. All right. So what exactly happens? The step is very easy. Phenylalanine hydroxylase is the enzyme. All right. So phenylalanine is converted to tyrosine. However, you need to know the coenzyme is tetrahydrobiopterin. All right. Tetrahydrobiopterin is converted to dihydrobiopterin. It is again recycled back to tetrahydrobiopterin with the help of the enzyme dihydrobiopterin reductase. Okay, and in that process, a reducing equivalent of NADH plus is used. Okay, very easy reaction, but you must remember that it's catalyzed by a hydroxylase enzyme. Even if you don't remember all these structures, even if you don't remember biopterin, just remember the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay. Why? Because the deficiency of this enzyme will lead to a disease known as phenylketonuria. Okay. So I will break down each and every step of the metabolism of phenylalanine, the tyrosine pathway, and the first step, as you know, is catalyzed by phenylalanine hydroxylase that leads to formation of tyrosine. So it occurs mostly in the liver. Okay, and what you need to know is tyrosine first undergoes transamination to hydroxyphenyl pyruvate catalyzed by a transaminase, which is definitely dependent on vitamin B6 or pyridoxine. Okay. In the next step, what happens? This is the next step that is happening. Okay. So tyrosine is now converted to para hydroxyphenyl pyruvate with the help of a transaminase enzyme. You need to remember this enzyme because the deficiency of this enzyme causes tyrosinemia type 2, and in this process, as you know, in case of all transamination reaction, keto acid will be converted to an amino acid. So alpha ketoglutarate is converted to glutamate. Okay. In the next step, what happens? Homogentisate is produced. Okay. So this phenyl hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, para hydroxyphenyl pyruvate product, this is acted upon by a dioxygenase enzyme. You know, any enzyme that cleaves a benzene ring or a cyclic product is actually dioxygenase enzyme. So it's a copper containing enzyme which catalyzes oxidative decarboxylation as well as hydroxylation of the phenyl ring of p hydroxyphenyl pyruvate to produce homogentisate. Okay. This is the reaction. So any enzyme that acts on both the carbon of a ring, benzene ring, are specifically known as dioxygenase. So this is a dioxygenase that introduces an OH group on both the carbons. Okay, para, you know what is ortho, what is meta and what is para, right? So deficiency of this enzyme leads to tyrosinemia type 3. If you think I am going too fast, you can jolly well pause this video, follow each and every step, take your textbook by the side, note down anything extra if I am teaching you, okay, which may not be the case because I am telling you the bare minimum that you need to remember, okay. Your textbook might have some extra cofactors and other steps, you can choose to not remember them, okay. Just remember the bare minimum that I am telling you. The importance of this step is it leads to production of a carbon dioxide because this keto group is lost. Alright. In the next step, the aromatic ring is cleaved with the help of this enzyme, homogentisate oxidase, okay. And for this reaction, molecular oxygen is required. The product is 4-mallyl acetoacetate, okay. Remember, molecular oxygen will be required to break the ring. So this enzyme is also a dioxygenase, as I told you earlier. It's also you have studied, I think, during oxidative phosphorylation. Any enzyme that cleaves the benzene ring to form a linear product are nothing but dioxygenase enzyme. It uses molecular oxygen, and however the deficiency of this enzyme will lead to a disease known as alkaptonuria. Very important, both phenylketonuria and alkaptonuria often comes as short notes, and you need to know additional stuff about each and every disease which will be dealt in the chapter of amino aciduria. The next step, what happens, the molecule undergoes a conformational change to form an isomer. Mallyl acetoacetate gets converted to fumaryl acetoacetate by an isomerase enzyme, nothing but intramolecular rearrangement, alright, characterized by an or catalyzed by an isomerase enzyme. So mallyl acetoacetate forms fumaryl acetoacetate, and what happens, and in the following step, acetoacetate, alright, basically is an hydrolase enzyme. Any hydrolase enzyme requires water, okay, brings about hydrolysis of fumaryl acetoacetate to liberate fumarate and a ketone body, that is acetoacetate. You all know fumarate is an intermediate of TCA cycle and also serves as a precursor of gluconeogenesis, okay. So this is the step, as you can see, this is an hydrolase enzyme, therefore it will require water, okay, and it will cleave this compound to two different compounds. One is the intermediate of Krebs cycle, so it will go into TCA, and this is a ketone body, alright. Now this is very important, acetoacetate ultimately forms acetoacetyl coenzyme with the help of this enzyme ketoacyl CoA transferase. You already know that. What is important to remember is this enzyme produces the disease tyrosinemia type 1, okay. So my question to you now is, who produces tyrosinemia type 2? Already discussed, okay. I give you 5 seconds. Well, if you remember, very good. You have to remember both tyrosinemia type 2 and type 3. Tyrosinemia type 2 is caused by tyrosine transaminase or tyrosine aminotransferase, and tyrosinemia type 3 is caused by deficiency of this dioxygenase enzyme, okay. But the most important are phenylketonuria and alkaptonuria. You have to remember them first, thereafter if your memory cell permits you can remember the other three, okay. So acetoacetate is a ketone body from which fat can be synthesized. You already know the deal how ketone bodies are metabolized, and phenylalanine and tyrosine are both glucogenic and ketogenic amino acid. You already know the mnemonic TIP or PIT depending on this. You should know what are the both glucogenic and ketogenic amino acid, what are the only glucogenic amino acid, and what are the only exclusive ketogenic amino acid. Those are leucine and lysine. Okay, that's a homework for you. So please go through them. So let us see the whole step over here. So in the first step, the deficiency of the enzyme leads to formation of phenylketonuria. What is the step? Hydroxylation. Phenylalanine is simply hydroxylated to tyrosine. Okay. In the next step, a transaminase enzyme which involves formation of a keto acid to an amino acid leads to the formation of hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. Okay. In the next step, a dioxygenase enzyme will lead to formation of homogentisate. Okay, very important. In the next step, listen, first thing is you do not need to remember these structures. Okay, not at all. You need to remember the names only. So if you just remember phenylalanine to tyrosine, then dot to homogentisate. Okay, you can choose to forget this step. Okay, remember 3 steps: phenylalanine, formation of tyrosine, and formation of homogentisate. That will do as a bare minimum for passing. Okay, but in order to score good marks, you definitely need to remember all the other steps, because there are diseases involved in these steps. Okay, tyrosinemia type 1, type 2 and type 3. So from homogentisate, the enzyme is homogentisate oxidase, also known as homogentisate 1,2 dioxygenase, because it cleaves the aromatic ring, deficiency of which will produce alkaptonuria. Thereafter, which leads to the formation of mallyl acetoacetate, which undergoes an isomerization to fumarate acetoacetate, which undergoes a hydrolytic cleavage to form fumarate and acetoacetyl coenzyme A. It actually forms acetoacetate, which undergoes a ketoacyl CoA transferase reaction to form acetoacetyl coenzyme A. Okay, so this is that's it till the breakdown of phenylalanine through tyrosine pathway. So here comes an applied importance of this. Okay, so in this video we will be dealing with formation of melanin only. In the subsequent video we will be dealing with other products of phenylalanine metabolism. Those are catecholamines, thyroid hormone, etc. So what happens? The synthesis of melanin will be asked in Viva. It may come as a part of a long question, it may come as a short note, or explain why questions may be asked. Alright. So this is very important. So basic thing about melanin you need to know is the main enzyme. One enzyme, if you remember, that will do all the trick is this one, tyrosinase. One and only one enzyme, which is a metalloenzyme, copper containing. Okay. If you forget everything, just remember the name tyrosinase, because it's the main enzyme which is involved in melanin formation. The rest about melanin you already know more than me, because you people are much more concerned with your complexion. Some of you are concerned with your own complexion, and some of you are concerned with someone else's, your better half's complexion. Anyway, so moving on, the synthesis of melanin involves, first, tyrosine will be converted to DOPA. Okay, dihydroxyphenylalanine. Structures not important at all. Okay, DOPA is converted to dopaquinone. Okay, dopaquinone is converted to indolquinone, and indolquinone is converted to melanin. Okay, you may choose to forget everything, just remember the first 2 steps, dopa to dopaquinone. Okay, and if you remember forget everything, just remember melanin is formed from the precursor tyrosine. Alright. So this enzyme tyrosinase hydroxylates tyrosine to form DOPA. So the step 1 is catalyzed by the enzyme tyrosinase. Alright. DOPA is converted to dopaquinone by again tyrosinase. So the step 1 and 2 are both catalyzed by tyrosinase. You should remember that this DOPA, dihydroxyphenylalanine, can act as cofactor for tyrosinase. So its formation catalyzes the further reaction. So, it is an example of positive feedback reaction, alright, not exactly feedback, but a positive effect. Okay. In subsequent reaction, you don't need to remember at all. Okay, even we volunteer you to not choose to remember, because there are much more important stuff to remember. Okay, there are intermediates, leukodopachrome, etc. So ultimately you need to remember is just before that indolquinone, from indolquinone there are multiple steps involved that leads to formation of melanin. Okay. So if you are asked, okay, what another enzyme you know, same thing, you don't need to remember any other enzyme, because this enzyme tyrosinase catalyzes the next step also. The oxidation of 5,6 dihydroxy indole to indolquinone is also catalyzed by tyrosinase. Okay. Anyways, so this reaction in which tyrosine via dopa to dopaquinone to indolquinone to melanin is actually formation of black melanin. Okay. There is another type of melanin which is known as red melanin. So that is actually not catalyzed exclusively by tyrosinase. Okay, that involves sulfur containing amino acid. So what is the main sulfur containing amino acid? Everything is main. Okay, methionine, cysteine, everything. So but over here cysteine plays a role. So cysteine condenses with dopaquinone, resulting in the formation of red melanin. Okay, this is the reaction. So see, the formation of black melanin is a straight chain. Okay, you can consider it is a vertical reaction. However, the formation of red melanin is actually a branching, it is a side reaction where cysteine combines with dopaquinone to form these other variation of dopaquinone, those are cysteine dopa, and they further undergoes reaction. So remember, cysteine acts as an intermediate, it acts as a bridge to form benzothiazinyl alanine, okay, which is a very difficult name and you don't need to remember, okay, because as I always say, it's better to not to answer than answer wrong. Okay, when examiner is asking a specific question, it goes the other way around. When examiner is asking a non-specific question and you don't know anything, it's better to answer something than keeping mum, because at least examiner will have an idea that you know something. Okay, so the point here to remember is black melanin will be formed in its own way, cysteine will act as a bridge and it will react with dopaquinone, leading to the formation of intermediate that will lead to formation of red or yellow melanin. And as you already know, human skin, or for that matter skin of any individual, are not absolutely black and white. Okay, we are not pandas or zebras. Okay, for them only black melanin does the job. However, we have so many shades from brown to black to white, those are determined by varying proportions of yellow, red and black melanin. Alright. So as you know, one enzyme that you need to know is activity of tyrosinase. So what will happen if there is some defect in the activity of tyrosinase enzyme? The answer is very easy and you have guessed it by now. It will be defective formation of melanin. All types of melanin will be defective. Formation of black melanin, yellow melanin as well as red melanin, and that will lead to various type of diseases. Now this inhibition or the decreased activity of tyrosinase may be global, that is it is so much affected that will affect the whole body, that will lead to a condition known as albinism. Okay, fully white, from white hair to white eyelashes to white skin, everything is white and devoid of melanin. However, if the activity is controlled, okay, I mean if the inactivity is localized, it will lead to patchy output of the disease that is known as leukoderma. Many patients of leukoderma are in and around our community. Okay, So they are characterized by a localized white patch of skin or a localized area where the skin and the hair follicles are devoid of melanin. Remember, it's an inborn error of metabolism, okay, and the treatment is pigment inducing reagent coal tar that will be taught to you in your skin house job, okay. But for your first year curriculum and for your biochemistry exam, you must remember deficiency of one and only tyrosinase. If it is global, it is producing albinism, and if it is local or focal, it will produce leukoderma. Okay, so this is albinism. Okay, whole body has been affected, okay, right from scalp to skin to eyelash to everything, okay. And this is leukoderma, which is nothing but localized affection, okay. This has got many cosmetic issues, as you know, as you can guess. So leukoderma patients are often found in OPD of dermatology department, okay. So this is all about formation of melanin, deficiency of tyrosine, and tyrosinase deficiency disorder. So we come to the end of our class. Thank you. Feel free to go through the chapter of tyrosine metabolism and get back to me in the WhatsApp group with any queries. And till then, I will see you in the next one. Bye.